In his second letter to Timothy, Paul writes in chapter 1, verses 3 through 7, I thank God, whom I serve, as my ancestors did, with a clear conscience. As night and day, I constantly remember you in my prayers. Recalling your tears, I long to see you, so that I may be filled with joy. I am reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois, and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you also. For this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For the Spirit of God, or the Spirit that God gave us, does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. On this morning's edition of 10 with Tom, we are talking about using our God-given gift. You know, other people may not think that you are important. Maybe even you don't think you're important. But God does. And his opinion is the one that counts the most. Remember David? Before he became king, he had to overcome two obstacles. The first obstacle was his family's inability to see his potential. When Samuel the prophet came looking for a king among the sons of Jesse, David wasn't even considered. Maybe that's because he was the youngest, or because his brothers seemed more qualified, or maybe his father wanted to impress the prophet. The second obstacle was Samuel's inability to recognize God's call on his life. When Samuel the prophet saw the oldest brother Eliab, a general in the king's army, we read in 1 Samuel 1:6 that Samuel said, "Surely the Lord's anointed stands here before the Lord." But God set Samuel, and he sets the rest of us, straight with these words just one verse later. Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things that people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. David's problem is a common problem. Many of us don't believe in ourselves because we weren't recognized or encouraged by our parents. Perhaps you have the potential to be a great musician, but because nobody ever cared enough to give you music lessons when you were young, you've given up on yourself. Or you may be a budding entrepreneur who was criticized for your foolish ideas about how to do business, and you've given up on the dreams of your youth. If that's the case, it's time to rise up and to reclaim who you are, to start praying that God will open your eyes and put someone in your life who will validate and fan into flame the gift of God which is in you. Romans chapter 12, verses 6 through 8 says, we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. You know, I've always thought about writing a book of stories to encourage others that are in youth ministry, but I let it go a long, long time ago. But with encouragement from Deb and a bunch of friends, I've started writing again. What will come of it? Honestly, I have no idea. It might be a book, or two, or three, or it might be a series of YouTube videos. Think of like 10 with Tom, but a lot more personal. Maybe it'll be short stories for Facebook. Who knows? But I need to exercise this gift or lose it. What's your gift? Today is the day to start putting it to use. So do it now. Last week, I had the opportunity and the pleasure of visiting 3 of the schools that we sponsor. On Monday of last week, I stopped by Osceola Elementary School, where I dropped off a check for $1,967.33 and 6 boxes of school supplies. I met the new principal there, Mr. Hathaway, and I caught up with Counselor Susan Lynch. And they both shared with me how grateful they are for the continued support of the Village Church and how much it means to the students and to their families. Miss Lynch said that they've got a special project lined up for us for early 2023. And so stay tuned, and in the weeks ahead we'll be sharing more about that. But it's another exciting opportunity to bless those students and their families, to encourage the teachers at Osceola Elementary School. They've got so many opportunities to uniquely act with and encourage kids that we don't necessarily see here in the World Golf Village. So we're glad to be able to support them in every way possible. Then on Tuesday, I visited with Jay Willits, the principal of Tocoi Creek High School, who you heard from in a Facebook message a couple of weeks ago when we fed their staff. I also met with his new assistant, Juanette Abatanozzi, and they both were elated, not only to receive a $2,000 check, but also 4 boxes of supplies and backpacks, also $150 in gift cards to be used for student needs there at Tocoi. They also raved about the wonderful lunch that our church prepared and served the teachers and staff during training. They are so grateful for the partnership that we have created. And I'm excited to let you know that we're going to be hearing more from Principal Willits on a future 10 with Tom later on this fall. So again, that'll be something that we can all look forward to. Then on Wednesday, I returned for my 16th year of volunteering on Wednesdays at Passetti Bay Middle School. And I presented the principal there, Mr. Banton, with 2 boxes filled with notebooks and paper and a check for $1,500. This marks our 6th year of stocking the school closet for students in need, and as always, there was so much thankfulness from Mr. Banton and from the staff there for your generosity. So thank you so much for making all that happen. Also want to let you know that Wild Wednesdays have resumed, and we could really use some additional help. If you have a heart for building relationships with middle schoolers, we would love to have you come and help us keep track of the students who attend each Wednesday afternoon from 1:30 to 5. If you'd like to know more about it or you'd like to help, please let me know. And parents are reminded that your middle school students should come directly from school to the church as a group. We walk with the students from Passetti Bay on that 1.5-mile journey each week. The students from Mill Creek are encouraged to walk together as well. But if you're a parent at Mill Creek and you would be willing to volunteer your car or your minivan to help bring some students over so that they don't have to walk across State Road 16, I know that would be greatly appreciated. And again, let me know and we'll try and get the information out so that we can get those students safely to Wild Wednesdays for our middle schoolers on every Wednesday. Also, in case you hadn't noticed, we are nearing the end of the current devotional booklet from the Word for You Today. The current book runs out August 31st. But don't panic. The fall edition just arrived, and it is in the mail, and you should be receiving it shortly. If you don't currently receive a copy and would like one, let us know by contacting Deb in the office. Her email address is deb@wgv.church, because we would love to put a copy in your hands. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll talk with you again on Friday with another message from the Word for You Today. Have a great day.